Hi all, morning. Today we are going to talk about electricity and Ohm's law. Electricity. What's the first word that comes to our mind when we use the term electricity? I feel electricity is nothing but a forced lighting. Ray Charles once said, we don't know what electricity is, but it's a force that can light a room. So, electricity, the term comes from the word electrons. As you can see the structure of an atom, there are positively charged protons in the center and there are electrons revolving around it. So, the outermost electron, like here in copper atom, is free to move. So, they are negatively charged, they are freely bound in the conductors. When we remove an electron from an atom, the atom becomes positively charged. The charge on an electron is very small, only of the order of 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. We measure the charge in units called coulombs, and charge moving through a body is given by this formula. So, charge is quantized, Q is equal to Ne, where N is the number of electrons and E is the charge on electron. And moving charges or electrons give rise to current. So, to help you know more about this, we are going to discuss about current, which is rate of flow of charge, voltage, which is cause of flow of charge, resistance, which is a way to control the flow of charge, and finally, Ohm's law, which gives us the relation between these three physical quantities, voltage, current and resistance. So, the big question, how does electricity move? Dave Berry once said, we believe that electricity exists because electric company keeps sending us electric bills for it, but we cannot figure out how it moves inside the wire. So, today we are going to learn how electricity travels through the wire and what affects the flow of electricity through a wire. So, coming to electron motion, we consider a metal bar. It has positive ions, blue spheres, and negative electrons, red spheres. And this is the state of electrons at normal temperature. The electrons move vigorously all around, they collide with these positive ions, the direction is random and continuous and there is no net transfer of energy. Now, we take the same metal bar, but we apply a voltage. One end connected to negative terminal, another end connected to the positive terminal. So, now we see that electrons start accelerating, they start moving in a definite direction towards the positive terminal. So, they all get accelerated towards one direction and we say that current is flowing through the circuit. So, current is nothing but rate of flow of charge. It is denoted by symbol I, where Q is Ne, and you have to remember one thing, that amount of current entering the wire is always equal to the amount of current leaving the wire. And you see here there is an electron, the electron moves from negative terminal and comes back to the positive terminal. So, we need something to make these electrons move, and this something gives rise to current. This is the symbol of that something which we call a cell or a battery or a voltage source. The green arrows show the direction of electrons. This is our appliance or a bulb which lights up, and by convention we assume that current flows from negative to positive, and red arrows indicate the direction of conventional current. So, actual or electronic current flow from negative to positive, conventional current flows from positive to negative terminal of battery. So, the current began to flow only when we used something called a cell or a battery. This cell or a battery is called a voltage source. This is a cell, it has two terminals, a positive terminal and a negative terminal, and usually the voltage rating is written on the cell, say 1.5 volts. So, voltage is a very important quantity. If we do not use cell, we can't get current in a circuit. So, cell is a source of doing work on charges. Cell pushes the charges through a circuit, and this is also called voltage, sometimes called EMF, It is always measured in volts, and we define potential or voltage as work done per unit charge. It is work done in moving the charges through a circuit. How we connect cells is very important. As you can make out, these cells connected in series give rise to a much higher voltage. A combination of 3 cells in series will give a voltage of 4.5 volt as compared to one cell, which gives us only 1.5. So, definitely this combination is better, because more the voltage means more is the current flowing through the circuit. So, if we get a higher current in the circuit, we must connect our cells in series. Okay. So, we come to something very important, a path which provides current to flow like a circuit. I have a circuit here with me. So, circuit is nothing but a closed path of a battery, which is a source of current, of a cell or a bulb which will light up, and there is another important component connected through wires, which is a switch. Right now switch is open, correct, it is off. So, there is no current flowing through the circuit, the bulb is not on. The moment I plug in the key, the moment I put a switch on, the circuit becomes closed. Current only flows through a closed circuit. The circuit becomes closed and the light bulb comes on. So, current only flows when there is a complete conducting path, there is a closed circuit, the switch is off, there is a battery source, and there is an appliance which lights up. Every appliance has some resistance which is inevitable, which we are now going to learn as we move further. So, this is the previous slide which we saw, the electrons moving randomly in presence of battery getting accelerated, but as they move, they collide with these positive ions. The positive ions offer opposition, they try to oppose the motion of electrons, and this opposition gives rise to resistance. So, resistance is the property of a conductor. We cannot avoid it. Every conductor, every appliance is made up of atoms. Atoms give rise to free electrons. They themselves become positively charged. They are embedded inside the material. So, we cannot avoid resistance, and it measures how difficult or easy it is for the current to flow. It is the property of a conductor. Depending on the type of conductor we choose, resistance may be small or resistance may be less. A brass bar will have a different resistance from a copper bar. The length, area and temperature affects the resistance of a material. So, it measures, you can see the slide, low current is there when resistance is high, and low resistance gives rise to higher current in the circuit. So, definitely we prefer appliances with low resistance, so that we can get higher current in the circuit. So, if you look at this first picture, it is an analogy of voltage, current and resistance relationship. We see water flowing easily from higher level to lower level. The people here are then doing work to take the water back to the higher level, and this represents a cell or a battery, like an electric circuit represented here. But if we see in the picture, the water is just flowing down smoothly because there is no obstruction in the path of water. However, if I were to imagine big rocks placed here, the flow of water would be less, it would be opposed and there would be resistance. Similarly, every appliance that we use has a resistance, and this is the symbol of a resistance. We use this symbol to represent the resistance of an appliance. So, this is a closed circuit, this is a real life circuit, this is a symbolic circuit of a cell, current and the appliance showing some resistance. So, we have concluded this by learning that current flowing through conductor depends on two quantities. One, it is directly proportional to the applied potential. Second, it is inversely proportional to the resistance of a given conductor. We use the term given because, as mentioned earlier, it varies with the nature of the material. So, Ohm's law is a universal law applicable to conductors, and no circuit is complete without applying this law. It states that current in a circuit is directly proportional to voltage and inversely proportional to resistance. So, I is proportional to V, it is inversely proportional to R, and if we combine these two equations, we get a relation I is equal to V by R, and V is equal to IR is a much easier way to write it, but Ohm's law is only applicable for a given conductor of given length, given area of cross section, and at a given temperature, because these properties will affect the resistance and hence change the value of current and voltage in a circuit. So, it is a universal law, we can use it to find current. If we know voltage and resistance, we can use it to find voltage. If we know current and resistance, we can use it to find resistance if we know voltage and current. So, now any question and answers from your end?
Ma'am, how can we minimize resistance in a circuit?
Okay, we can minimize the resistance in a circuit in two ways. One, by using a conductor of lesser length, because resistance is directly proportional to length. Second, by increasing the area of cross section of the wire, because resistance is inversely proportional to the wire. Or we can use a conductor of better number density, because it will change the resistance of the material. Hope that answers your query. Okay. Any more questions, class? Yes, please.
Ma'am, I was wondering, ma'am, why does an increase or decrease in length or cross-sectional area even affect the resistance of a circuit?
Okay. So, resistance I said is directly proportional to length. Longer the wire, more is the distance which electrons need to travel to reach the positive end, and in the process they collide more with the fixed atoms or ions of a conductor, and hence suffer more opposition or more resistance. So, longer length of the wire gives more resistance, shorter length gives less resistance. Now, look at area of cross section. Imagine a road with 2 lanes and imagine a road with 6 lanes. It is easier for traffic to move easily through a 6-lane road rather than a 2-lane road or a single lane road. Similarly, when we increase the area of cross section, electrons get wide path to flow and to move to the positive terminal. So, resistance decreases with increasing the area of cross section. Okay. Any more questions?
Ma'am, as you said, in a conductor, electrons are removed from the atoms and they leave positive ions. So, how does this happen?
Okay, a very good question, and I was expecting this from someone today. For this, let us go and have a look at what an atom looks like. An atom consists of a positively charged nucleus, has protons inside which are positively charged, has neutrons which are neutral, and around the nucleus there are orbits, and we have electrons revolving in these orbits. So, these are the electrons and they carry negative charge. So, in general, the number of protons is always equal to number of electrons in an atom. As a result, the total positive charge is always equal to total negative charge, and this gives a net charge of 0 to an atom. So, we say atom is electrically neutral. But now suppose there is a way of removing an electron, like in a conductor electrons are freely bound to the nucleus because they are far away as compared to non-metals. So, if we are able to remove an electron from an atom, say by rubbing, say by induction, if we remove an electron, the number of electrons is less than number of protons in an atom now. As a result, the negative charge in an atom is less as compared to the positive charge, because we can't go inside the nucleus and remove positive protons, whereas we can easily remove the electrons as they are in valence shells or outermost shells. So, consecutively, the atom acquires charge, and we say that atom has become charged and it has acquired positive charge, the reason being negative electrons have been removed. So, then the atom becomes positively charged, it forms a fixed ion in a conductor. These fixed ions stay inside a conductor and electrons become free to move. It is like negative particles moving in a sea of positive particles and experiencing the force of opposition. So, I hope that answers your query, and that is all for today. I hope you have got a better view of what electricity is, how it flows through the wire, and how do we control the flow of electricity. Thank you.